Hello folks and welcome to Hobby Quick. I'm Lee and today we're going to be answering the age-old question: can modern-ish inks and washes such as Agrax Earthshade and Reichland Fleshshade save an old school paint job? Probably the last time I ever tried painting an eye. Actually quite happy with the blood effect on that, to be fair, but I mean he's very 90s, so I figured before I strip him down and try and do a full repaint, I just thought one of the lads in one of the nerd groups I'm in said, oh, why don't you just put a wash on him, see how it works out. So here we go. So Agrax Earthshade first and foremost. So here we go. Just a little bit on here, all around there. Now, when I was a lad, when I was younger, washes were, when they first started coming out and being sold at Games Workshop, they were sort of frowned upon as being like cheat code, like easy mode. Back then, looked like my Morgan Thorg does now, just really bright, like primary colours. You had to try and hand paint stripes on pretty much everything. That was like goblin green bases, hand painted stripes. Obviously not the best in the world, but I mean I was only in my teens, so it's fine. But yeah, and I know there's a new Morgan Thorg sculpt out there, but there's something about this one. It's just really very. Obviously, there's a huge nostalgic hit with things like the old Bloodbowl and the old models and stuff. And I remember being really pleased with this guy. I think actually I say that quite a lot when I talk about the old models that I dig out. I always then look back and I think, you know what? Considering we had absolutely naff all tech and thinning your paints just was basically unheard of. So you see people that are new to painting and new to the hobby just seem to be starting off like much better, but you know, online paint tutorials and all that stuff as well. So obviously that really helps. Sorry, it keeps slipping. I've got a really weird camera setup here at the minute, so I apologise if you keep slipping out of out of frame or focus. I am trying, but I've got a tripod and a camera right in my face, so I do need a better, more permanent setup for this sort of stuff. I bought some new brushes recently that I've still not got around to using either. I think it's about time I busted these bad boys out. I'll do a little bit on this as well. Maybe a bit much. You know what? It's Bloodbowl. It's fine. I think Morgan Thorg would be absolutely mortified if he had There we go. Take a little bit of that off. So I'll just wet my brush there just to take a little bit of this off. All over this. I'm gonna have to look into getting a setup to have over my painting desk if I want to do stuff like this, because this is just not it's not comfortable. I'm not entirely convinced it's the best viewing angle for you folks. If you made it this far, thank you for sticking with me. And just to prove, I mean, like, look at that base, just to prove how old he is. That's goblin green, then PVA glue and some actual modeller's flock just sprinkled on. And for a bit of texture here, I think that is literally just a blob of super glue. Just to put a little mound on the pitch for whatever reason. Right, okay, and we'll be back shortly, once this is dry, to put on the Reichland Fleshshade. But yeah, I think I'm quite happy with that so far. Okay, so we're back. Here we go. So now we're going for some Reichland Fleshshade on Morgan Thorg's Pink Bits. There's so much character on these old models. You really can't. There's a lot to be said for digital sculpting, obviously, but there's also a lot to be said for just how good these sort of old-fashioned, old-school, hand-sculpted minis are. I don't think I've used Reichland Flesh Shade very often. I actually really quite like it on top of this. So this is probably like going back, probably like Bronze Flesh or Dwarf Flesh or something like that. Like I say, we're going back 20 years, maybe more for these paints for this guy. So, right. I think I've got a brush small enough to go in and have a touch up his eyes as well after when all this is done. So for now, let's let him dry and we'll see what he looks like. So it's all dried and yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Might go over, pick out some highlights, get him looking a little bit better. I might even have a go at redoing those stripes, but I don't think my hand's that steady anymore, so I might not bother. But yeah, really quite happy with him. I'll probably still end up repainting him and rebasing him, but as a fun little experiment, yep, really quite happy with that. Now then, I wonder what's next. Classic.